Hi guys, welcome to One UX One. Today we're talking about the 5 latest trends in UX design. So the first one I want to talk about is voice activation. More and more people, even myself, I use more voice activation. Now, how do you build great UI, user interfaces and UX design that's going to make it helpful for people to just use their voice instead of typing? And now I do that myself. I don't like typing anymore. So I just speak into WhatsApp. I speak when I type in Word. And it really makes life easier. So more and more users are going to want to see that trend. Now, how do you embed that into UX design? There's going to have to be a user-friendly icon that's easy to recognize and easy to find and use. So that would be one of the areas that we really need to look at. One of the trends that's really growing in UX design. The next one is a frameless experience. So what does a frameless experience mean? A frameless experience means that nowadays, you know, your phone or your tablet, you don't want any of the border anymore. That's what users don't want anymore. And we don't want to have, we want a seamless design that's a bit like Google. If you think about Google, they always kept just the one search bar. And the same thing with designs now. They want something that's simple. And when you want something, there should be high affordance. So you should know whether you need to swipe to bring on the icons or whatever functionality you want to add to make it frameless but still useful. And that's a challenge, because when things are plain and simple, it's hard to make them functional. So i.e., you want to design something that has less buttons or less visible call to actions, but when you need them, you know, you can get those. So frameless experiences is growing in that way. The next one, which is a bit more complex, is augmented reality. Augmented reality, let me give you an example. If you were to go with a kid or your child to a museum and you had a phone and an app and you placed the phone on the dinosaur, it would describe everything to do with the dinosaur. Or I like stargazing and looking at the heavens above. And to do that, there are apps with augmented reality, and you can see the alignment of the stars. You can see the sunrise, sunset, things like that. So augmented reality is something that will give more interaction to users and a better user experience. But where is that going to get used more in the future? It's going to get used more in things like fashion, furniture. So you'll be able to visualize with your camera. You'll be able to visualize that sofa in your room or that desk in your room. You'll be able to visualize clothes that you want to wear. Instead of going to the shops, be able to augmented reality will allow you to try on those new clothes. Another trend that is a new area or new aspect of UX, UI design, and that is emotional connection. So people want to feel an emotional connection with the product itself. So your website or app, or it needs to make them feel they're having a delightful experience and feel, I can relate to this product. I can emotionally relate to it. So that's the imagery, the images that you have, the story of your product, i.e. the story of the business. So the business case and the use case, i.e. the user, need to be aligned. So the business wants to sell a product to you, for example, if it's a company that sells healthy food. How will they build an emotional connection? They may be able to add into the design aspects where of things that you can relate to. For example, we're all tempted by junk food, and now this app or website is showing us practically somebody has an option between healthy food and unhealthy food, and we create an emotional connection through the website of where, this is a real life challenge that we all have. So you can do that with images or a story and say, look, this is how you control your desire to eat junk food, and this is how you select healthy food, and then you're happy to actually buy it in that process. So it's about building a relative experience that people can relate to, and they emotionally feel happy when they see your website or your app or your product. I hope that explained that area. And one more trend I just wanted to add, which is growing, and if you really want to get into this, if you want to have a great career and a great financial reward, it's user research. So let me just explain that, because UX design or UX designers, product designers, they do carry out user research. But as UX is growing and more companies are hiring UX designers, there's become an increased need for user research to be done. So sometimes on just one area of a website or one area of an app, you need to do tons of user research. Now, imagine if a UX designer is doing all the UX design processes, i.e. they are going to be prototyping, wireframing, sketching. Also, they're going to be dealing with stakeholders, creating user flows, prototype diagrams, user journeys, personas. On top of that, they have to do all the user research. So what companies have realized is user research in and of itself is a massive responsibility and a massive task and job. So now what they're doing is they're hiring people just for the task of user research. I'd say it's probably an easier job to do than become a UX designer, and it may be more interesting to some people. So user research as a career is a massively growing trend. If you look online right now, every company, every significant company wants to hire user researchers. And that trend is moving towards actually a full-fledged career. So separating itself from UX design, user research is becoming a full-time career. So if you're interested in that trend, I would say get in early, as now's the time to get in. User research is getting massive and people are really now learning more and more about that. And I'm happy to create more videos on user research if that really helps our users and listeners and benefit from all that, how you can add value. So for example, UX design is impossible without user research. Now, if you become a user researcher, you are giving all the problem statements, so you're telling them what the pain points are, what the friction is, delivering it as a report to different stakeholders in different ways. So the directors will want a different style of report to, let's say, your UX designers and developers. And that's your job, and that's become so important now that it's a great opportunity. I hope you enjoyed this video at 1UX1. I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and share and follow all our videos that will really help you become a great designer and really gain that knowledge that you need to become at the top of your game. See you on the next one, guys. 1UX1. Thank you. Take care.